Hi, I'm Megan Finnerty, and I'm the host of this powerful community storytelling show in partnership with Verizon and for individuals with true first person stories about the life changing difference technology and access can make. Before we start the show, let's start by talking to our storytellers. I'm going to bring them up so you can say hi to them. James Allrich is principal of Argyle Middle School in Silver Spring, Maryland. Hi, James. Cortney Chao is Cortney Chao is the Verizon Innovative Learning Schools coach, also at Argyle Middle School in Silver Spring, Maryland. Thank you for being with us.
Hi.
We're also going to hear from Lois Seaman. She's the tech team coach at Hammocks Middle School Academy of Legal Studies in Miami. That's a long name. Thanks for being here, Lois.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll hear from Beatriz Llano-Scherker. She's the Verizon Innovative Learning Schools coach, also at Hammocks Middle School Academy of Legal Studies, also down in Miami. Thanks for being here.
Hi, everyone.
Awesome. Right now, millions of students in the United States are lacking the connectivity, technology, and skills they need to make their way in today's digital world. That's why Verizon is working to help foster digital inclusion through a transformational educational program called Verizon Innovative Learning. And you are going to hear so much about it throughout this show. It's a key part of their goal to move the world forward, according to their responsible business plan, which is also called Citizen Verizon. Tonight's storytelling show, or today, whenever you're watching, is about the ways connectivity and inclusion can change people's lives, their families, their entire communities. We are going to hear about how free internet access, about free devices, how next generation technology infused lessons, really, really cool stuff about how all those things can change the lives of everyday Americans. So we're really excited to bring you this show. But the deal is, it's not a TED Talk. It's not Toastmasters. It's not an inspirational speech. Truly, this is storytelling. And we are so excited to get right into it. We just ask that you open your heart, open your mind, and look forward to receiving these stories in the spirit in which they're intended. As we get into this, we want you to know some of our storytellers are going to be polished and professional, and some are going to be more casual and conversational, because that's how real connecting really happens. We just ask you to receive them as they come. We're going to open the show right now, though, with James. Take it away.
Thank you, Megan, and I really, really appreciate this opportunity to really share my story. So, growing up in New Jersey in the 80s and 90s, I was in love with technology. Probably one of the first persons in my neighborhood to actually have a CD Walkman. Can you believe that? And an MP3 player. So as a college student, I really got into programming and using computers to design flyers for parties. I was that guy on that college campus. So as I got older and I decided to become a math teacher, my interest in technologies continued to grow. Right. And as I moved from being a math teacher to a department chairperson to an assistant principal and to now a principal, that passion around technology has continued. So much so that folks in my building, my family members, constantly are asking me, hey, how do you do this using technology? How do you download that? And it's just something I just really, really love to do. So when I had the opportunity to really lead Argyle Magnet Middle School, about 5 years ago, I was really, really, really excited and still very excited to do that now in my 6th year of being a principal. So when I first became a principal in 2014, one of the first things I did is I reached out to central office and I said, hey, I want our school to really be the early adopters around the use of technology within the district. And at that time, we had computers in classrooms. But as time went on, the district reached out to me and said, hey, we got this Verizon grant that we would like to apply, and we think your school will be ideal for it. We jumped on this immediately. Again, really being early adopters and really seeing this as an opportunity to really increase equity and access for our students. It's something that I'm very, very passionate about. And I think it was very, very consistent with the mission and vision of our school. Our school is what we call a whole school magnet, right? So any student who walks through the doors are part of the magnet, right? So it is not a school within a school. So when the district came to me, we probably about a year and a half ago, we spent, 3 to 6 months putting together the application, doing interviews, coming to the school to interview teachers, interviewing myself. And we were so excited and really proud that we had the opportunity to actually get what we call the Verizon grant, or the Verizon Innovative Learning School grant, right? And what this grant did was really provide iPads for every staff member, every student, 1,040 students. It provided data so students were able to access at home, as well as PD to staff, and also provided an online network for us. My building at Argyle is about 75% what we call Ever Farms, or free and reduced meals. We're about 25% African American and about 60% Latinx. So while we're a tech magnet, what we found is that our building, we had computer labs. So we had quite a few, about 10 computer labs in our building. But what we saw is that the tech was actually just being used when they actually had those classes. We didn't see tech really used in English or math or science classes, but they were really focused on the tech classes. So when we got the iPads, what that did is that it really changed how tech was being used throughout the building. You saw tech and the iPads being leveraged everywhere. You saw links all over the place, all over the building, QR codes where students were able to use their QR code to actually go on and identify what songs they would like to hear played at the middle school dance. We just saw that technology was really being leveraged and was changing and shifting what was happening within the building. One of the things that I was really proud of is that in our building, we have what we call a Be Well room. So it's kind of, if you will, kind of our restorative justice room. It's a spot where students get a chance to kind of reset. And what happened is our students and the staff member, we have what we call a restorative justice coordinator who runs the room. And she worked with the iPads to actually get our 3D goggles to correspond with the iPad. So when students would actually come to the room, they would go in and have an opportunity to reset and get taken away to a beach, get taken away to the woods, and kind of hear different music. But it was just an opportunity, again, to leverage technology in the things that we were already doing within the building, so that we were able to increase participation, increase engagement. And when students left, they left ready to go back into that classroom and re-engage into the education. So March, I believe it was March 13th, hit, and we all went home. And at that time, didn't know how long we were going to be out as a result of COVID and the pandemic. And our students left with their devices. And with their devices, they also had data, right? So that made the transition from going to, if you will, kind of brick and mortar where we use technology, to now being fully virtual, really seamless, particularly for our school. It helped me quite a bit because we didn't have to try to figure out what learning management system to use. We didn't have to figure out what structures our students were going to be able to access. They were already using a lot of that stuff already in their classes. Principals were reaching out to me in Montgomery County, which is the district that I'm in. They would reach out to me and say, hey, hey, James, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And it was something that, as a result of having those, the iPads, and because we were doing so much of that work originally, it really helped us to really to do some things in a way that we weren't doing before. Also, the technology has helped quite a bit in allowing us to connect with our families. I think that was something that, I could not have anticipated, right? In January, when we had the iPads, it was, we attempted doing 1 or 2, virtual PTSA meetings, and we saw the increase. We saw, an increase of, like 30, 40 people attending. We were like, ooh, that's pretty exciting, right? For our PTSA meeting. And then when we went into the COVID space, or the distance learning space, and we would do our PTSA meetings, we saw that our parents were using our students' devices as well to engage in the PTSA meeting. So those 30, 40 meetings became 100, 120. It was something that was so exciting for us, because it provided us an opportunity to engage in a way that we haven't really engaged. So, our parents, they lead busy lives. I mean, they're facing all sorts of demands on their time. So to be able to use technology in a way to allow them to actually connect. I mean, our parents who are working multiple jobs, multi-generational homes, some with both parents, some with single parents. We have some, unfortunately, homeless families. But being able to connect and have families network, it really showed how important this tool, this iPad, the access that Verizon, the access that Montgomery County Public Schools, the district was able to allow for us. And when I think about kind of this big takeaway around this use of technology, it really is about how do we use technology as a tool to create and to connect with families, to create more creativity within the classrooms with our educators and with our students, to really increase the success of our students for better participation. But the most important piece is to create more equity and to create more access. So I want to thank Verizon. I want to thank really an awesome staff, and I want to really thank Montgomery County. But most importantly, I want to thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, James, for your story. I so love your memories of making the flyers when you were younger and how, it all snowballs into now the kind of leadership you're displaying. It also makes me think you were a super fun teacher, because if that's where you had in your brain, I'm just like, what kind of designs are you making now?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
This school year, Verizon Innovative Learning is expanding to 111 Title I schools across the nation, bringing their total to 264 schools that Verizon is supporting through this initiative. For the first time, the program is going to be activated in high schools. In addition, the company's growing online resources and tools are available to all educators and students right now, and that's a key driver in Verizon's quest to reach 10 million youth by 2030. It's one of 3 goals within their bigger Citizen Verizon initiative. They're bringing 5G technology to schools through innovative learning labs where students and teachers are at the forefront of cutting edge technology, and you are totally going to hear about that in just a second. And since 2012, the Verizon Innovative Learning Program has provided over $535 million in market value towards STEM education, all helping under-resourced communities bridge the digital divide. So we'd like to thank Verizon for making this show possible and helping create a space for these stories to be heard. And we'd like to acknowledge their generosity in all of that work. Truly remarkable and really inspiring, because it leads to incredible change, like you're going to hear about right now from Bea down in Miami. Bea has a story about how getting closer to people with technology brought her some new surprises about her own humanity. Take it away.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you. Hello, I'm Beatriz Llano-Scherker, the Verizon Innovative Learning Coach at Hammocks Middle School Academy of Legal Studies in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. I've been fortunate enough to be working for what I feel is the finest school district in the country for the better part of 37 years now as a teacher. Teaching has never become stale for me. My favorite part of each day is connecting with students in classrooms and hallways during presentations. Although distance learning has made the word connecting take on a whole new meaning. But students still energize me with their enthusiasm and how receptive they are to learning new things. I continue to be thrilled being part of the significant people in their lives. You see, I see myself as helping them become the people they're going to become in the future. That's still cool to me. I started my teaching career teaching English language arts, but I never shied away from innovation and from trying new things in the classroom to teach the standards. Miami-Dade County is wonderful in providing its teachers with endless possibilities of professional growth, and I take advantage of as many free courses as I can each year. That's why I was among the first 50 teachers in the district back around the year 2000 to become nationally board certified. I love the challenge. When grants come along, I go for them, and I've brought programs and funds and materials for all the schools where I've worked for nearly 4 decades now. With the support of a great administrative team at Hammocks and inspirational colleagues, I still face each day as an educator filled with the hope that I hope that I'm changing the future for the better, at least one student at a time. When Verizon Innovative Learning's Schools Initiative came to our attention, around the fall of 2018, everyone at Hammocks Middle School was thrilled with the possibilities of becoming part of the VILS team. The district embraced the initiatives of the goals, and the achievement of children was our ultimate goal. And they said, increasing student engagement through technology integration, what could be better? Well, we went for it. While our school's leadership team and I were writing the proposal to become part of the initiative, I felt ready for this challenge, both personally and professionally. And I asked, would you consider me as your VILS coach? And I went through an interview and I was chosen. After all, I always looked for technology and how it could transform what we do in our classroom, transform our teaching practices, everything. Throughout the decades, I've looked for that. The VILS team interviewed our principal, Miss Leal, and they later visited and toured our school. They spoke to children, they spoke to our teachers, and we waited for the answer. And by the winter of 2018, the announcement was made that we were to become a cohort 6 VILS school. Well, let me tell you, there was much jumping and excitement and some teary eyes. And when Miss Leal got on the PA and made the announcement to the students, you could hear the roar down the hallways. And we all went down the hallways giving the children high fives. We were so excited. There were hundreds of children who signed up to be part of the student tech team, which is a great component of the initiative. And they went through an interview process. Let me tell you, the excitement was palpable. By the spring of 2019, the teachers received their iPads and the professional development began. Just like the district that I work for, they believe in professional development for the teachers. The VILS teams are there every step of the way, showing us how to use the devices, how the apps work, the different platforms. We were using the iPads across the curriculum for almost an entire year to collaborate, to communicate, to build proficiency, to make the learning process engaging and exciting for learners. Nothing better. Then the pandemic became the new reality. We transitioned to distance learning in March of 2020. Miami-Dade County Public Schools, the IT department, everybody, they stepped up. The VILS team came through for us as well, for all stakeholders. The district immediately offered professional development support for the teachers, support for the families, but it quickly became evident that we all needed emotional support as well. So you see, I've always believed that I'm part of a global village, and I'm here for the total child and for the whole family. So now every time I start a presentation, I ask everyone to take a deep cleansing breath. You can do it with me now if you want. And as you slowly release it, I ask everyone to think of one thing that you're grateful for. I always challenge my students and I always say, you can't think of the same thing 2 days in a row. Think of something else you're grateful for. Yes, technology and the VILS initiative is keeping us connected, no doubt about it. Connected to our students and to our families, to our colleagues. Ultimately, though, it's our passion for teaching and our desire to support the whole child and their families, which will carry them the rest of their lives. That's what children will remember, that we cared about them. We cared enough to make a difference in their lives. Thank you for listening to my story tonight, and I wish you all well.
Bea, thank you so much for your story. There's just so much like positive love and affirmation in your story. I so appreciate you connecting with us through how much you connect with your students.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really want to underline Bee's story is so powerful because it's about how she's deepened her relationship with technology. She's found ways to deepen her relationship with others and get in touch with humanity. When we first started working with her, I was so pleasantly surprised, but truly surprised that was really where her story took us, because it wasn't within my expectations of how technology moves in schools. So thank you so much, Bee, for helping us keep our minds open, and most of all, for keeping our hearts open to one another. We're going to have a little message right now from Verizon.
This year, we are all students. At Verizon, we're enabling education however possible, preparing teachers and parents, and providing tech solutions to schools nationwide. It's Citizen Verizon in action, our plan for economic, environmental, and social advancement.
Thanks, Verizon. Now we're going to hear from our storyteller, Cortney. She's taking us back up to the East Coast again, where she's going to talk to us. Hi, Cortney. Where she's going to talk to us about how her Verizon connection changed her career and helped her support her school.
Hi, everybody. So it's interesting. It feels like the words blended learning and distance learning and, hybrid learning models, it's in everybody's vernacular now, but it hasn't always been that way. Even a lot of educators, this is a new concept for us as well. I know for our school that we began this journey about a year and a half ago when we joined the Verizon Innovative Learning Schools program. And it was a perfect match for what we were looking to do at our school. It's so important for us to provide connectivity to our kids and for us to really use technology in smart ways to connect kids together and to help them learn outside of the building. So many of our students would use technology at school and then go home and not have access to practice with it there as well. So when we heard about the program, it was just a perfect fit. We knew it was going to be a ton of work. We've got over 1,040 kids in our school, and we'd have to get them all set up individually on each device. We also had to teach them how to use the iPads because some of our kids had never even touched a device like that before. So we knew it was going to be a lot of work, but we really knew it was going to be worth it. And it also helped us really think about how we teach. We knew that with this new tool in our building that we wouldn't continue to provide education the same exact way as we always had. So it was an exciting opportunity for us. And we had a lot of professional development. Teachers were really getting used to the idea of using the technology tool to expand kids' access and what they were learning, to help them think about themselves in a different way, to help them think about how they show what they know in a different way. And things were, picking up steam. And it was our first year. Everything was going okay. We were finally starting to get on our feet. And then the rug kind of got pulled out from underneath us with when the pandemic hit in our area. And I remember it so clearly. It was March 12th. It was a Thursday. I was at home making dinner with my kids. We had just gotten them off the bus, and they were helping me prepare for a big activity that my school does every year around the mid-March time. And I got a text from my coworker who said that we weren't going to be going back to school for 2 weeks. Our district was going to close for 2 weeks and then reevaluate. So we had one day, that Friday, back at school to prepare students for, not seeing them for at least 2 weeks. And in that time, it was really challenging because it was phone calls all night, trying to get ready for that last day of school. We had a lot of triage that we needed to do. We had to help kids clean out their lockers. There was kids, we had to make sure they threw all their sandwiches away from their backpack and, found their missing sweatshirt. But we also knew that kids were scared, and that for a lot of our students, they relied on the connection at school each and every day. And knowing that they weren't going to have that for a while was really scary. We also wanted to make sure that everyone was ready to go, that they all had their iPads ready, that any issues were fixed, that they could log into every site that they needed to. So it was a lot of hands-on that last day. And then we had our 2-week break, which stretched to 4 weeks. And then eventually our school decided to close for the remainder of the school year. And it was really difficult for our kids because it completely upset the routine that they were used to. But our school really is built on a foundation of relationships. And even though those relationships were face to face, that really was the crux of how we built our school. We had to quickly transition into using technology as our tool to connect with one another. And so first and foremost, last spring, when we were thinking about our instructional program, we knew that first we had to think about the connections with our kids. We needed to make sure that they were safe, that they felt seen, that they knew where to reach out for help and support. For a lot of kids, their whole support system is at school and with their friends. And so not having that and not knowing when they were going to have that again was really, really stressful. So our teachers, they were creative. They reached out, they connected, they communicated, they tried new things. We were super lucky that we had almost a full year to practice, but we didn't know that we were going to be tested in this way. And I think that at the end of the spring semester last year, it was a really good chance for us to stop and sort of take stock of where we were. A lot of our kids really struggled to log in and follow our program. I think for the most part, we had a successful end of the school year, considering all things. But when we ended the school year, we knew that our summer program at least was going to be virtual. And we had a feeling that we might be starting the school year virtually as well. And we knew that we wanted to do better for our kids. So I think our turning point really came when we had our summer program. And usually that services a whole bunch of kids in our building every summer. And this year we were entirely virtual, and we had about 250 of our 1,040 kids join us. We had 7 amazing teachers. We spent many weeks planning and implementing a program that we knew was going to help us when we opened this fall for school virtually. I had the opportunity to work with 6th grade students every morning from 8:30 to 9, getting them ready, connecting, answering questions, helping them figure things out, playing games. And imagine my surprise, the second week of school, of our summer school program, and I logged on at 8:15, a little early. It was a busy day, so I thought I'd get a head start. And at 8:10, 20 minutes before our start time, I had 5 kids waiting for me in my Zoom. They were just so excited on a Monday morning to be back in school. They really connected with the community that we had built. And I think that that was one of the most important lessons that we learned in our summer program, is that kids really craved that connectivity. They wanted consistency. They wanted to have relationships with their teachers. So when we started this fall, that was how we established our program. We wanted to make sure that we were consistent across the board so that kids didn't have the extra anxiety of not knowing how to access school because they couldn't go there. We were able to use the technology and our experience of being suddenly a distant learning community last spring to really make a powerful program for our kids this year. And I think one of the biggest differences that I've noticed this year, my own 6th grader is at our school as well. I can see the whole picture from the eyes of a student. And I think last spring, we really were focused on keeping our kids safe and making sure that they felt safe. But for kids, their school experience was transformed into logging into 8 different teachers' classes. And this fall, I feel like finally when kids log on in the morning, they're coming back to our school. They're not in our building, but I feel like our school is finally becoming more whole. And it makes me excited for the future, because even when we go back into the building, I know that our educational program is not going to be like it was before. We've learned so much from this experience that I think we can take with us as we move forward. And that makes me really excited. And I know that in the future, we will look back at the lessons learned, and it will be for the betterment of our program and for the service of our students. So thank you for listening, and thank you to Verizon for providing us with this amazing opportunity.
Cortney, thank you so much for your story. I love the thought of how you said when the kids came back, they were online, but they came back to your school. That's a beautiful thought.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just love I really want to underline the enthusiasm and passion all of our storytellers, like especially Cortney here. She is living this as a professional, as a parent, and it's just like so inspiring to hear about the resiliency and the enthusiasm that all of our storytellers are carrying with them into this school year, and really like carrying their students with them. So thank you, Cortney, for your story, but also thank you for your resiliency that your story really focuses on. We're going to close our show with a little bit more of a direct Q&A. We're going to hear from Lois, who, as you guys remember, she runs a tech team hi, Lois. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Lois, let's get started off by just telling everybody, like, what is a tech team? It sounds very cool, but I know I didn't grow up with one in my school.
Well, thanks to Verizon, we have a tech team which is responsible for maintaining and basic issues with the iPads, small things that we can handle at a school level. And they also are responsible for teaching teachers and students various educational technology platforms.
That sounds super cool. I know you were talking to me about how the kids have to master a ton of tech learning and really hands-on specific skills, but you also said that they have to master figuring out like vulnerability and empathy. Can you tell us a little about that?
Absolutely. Students are in a vulnerable situation as turning the table on teacher. Students are becoming the teacher. And so in that way, both sides are vulnerable. So the students are learning empathy because these students grew up with devices in their hands. Many teachers have not. And so they need to be empathetic to the fact that what comes easily to the student doesn't necessarily come easily to the teacher. And so that is a learned empathy, for lack of a better way.
No, I think it's like so interesting. So tell us a little bit about the tech skills that the kids are acquiring. You said, some of it's like basic IT work, but some of it's bigger. You also mentioned that they have like tickets, right? That kids sign up to have work done.
We have work orders.
Yeah.
And we deploy to teachers. We deploy to classrooms. We do that in physical mode, but we also do it digitally now.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, they learn educational platforms through the eyes of a teacher. So I use my accounts and I train them to be the teacher so that when they are supporting teachers and even students, they can look at it from a different view. And so it really enables them to have a sense of confidence and pride, and they do grow into that leadership role that they have in the school.
I love that. I want to close our little chat. You mentioned that when you're looking for kids, you're not always looking for the students that have like perfect grades. Instead, you talked about them demonstrating qualities of kindness and patience, and that those are the students that make the best tech team members. Talk to us about like, how is that relevant in technology?
That's highly relevant. Technology is a skill, just like anything else, and it can be taught. There are some students who gravitate toward it a little more easily, but it is overall a skill that can be learned and honed and grown. But someone who's kind is going to be working with people and is going to be open to connecting with someone who might not understand as well. So for that, we need kindness and patience, not to give up on someone else, and to help that person grow in his or her own journey, even if that person is an adult.
I love that. That's like such a beautiful thought. And I love that all of these stories have really come back over and over and over again to the human connection that really powers our use of technology. So, Lois, thank you for being such an awesome teacher and an enthusiastic leader. And thank you for helping us understand a little bit more about what you and your kids do.
Thank you, and thank Verizon as well.
Awesome. Well, we'd like to take a moment to bring up all of our storytellers now so that we can thank them collectively and acknowledge their storytelling and their hard work. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your stories. And thank you to our viewers. This show has been about how connectivity and inclusion can change people's lives, their families, and even their entire school districts. We hope you agree with us. It is an idea that feels more relevant now than ever before. Thank you so much for watching and for your curiosity about these stories.
This year, teachers are learning new ways to teach. Parents are learning to lesson plan. And young minds are learning a new normal. This year, we are all students. At Verizon, we're enabling the education that students deserve. With credentialed teacher training, free lesson plans for parents, and tech-enabled solutions for schools nationwide, it's Citizen Verizon in action, our plan for economic, environmental, and social advancement.